Quinton recently spent 6 days in Raqqa. If you haven't seen his report, it's well worth looking it up online. It is extraordinary about the destruction in that city. Well, for reaction to the story on Raqqa and to other news, we spoke a short time ago with Democratic Senator Coons. He's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Coons, Islamic State has clearly lost an important symbol in the fall of Raqqa. What happens to the organization now, do you think?
Well, ISIS still controls some of the Euphrates River Valley, so there is more fighting to be done before they will have lost control of all territory in Syria. And we now face a critical juncture because we have to have a path forward where Syria has a political process that can lead to the departure of Assad and some reunification and resolution of its grinding civil war.
Okay, all of this depends to some extent on American leadership because those militia were American-backed in the fall of Raqqa. Let me turn then to another issue, and that is comments made by Senator John McCain last night when he was receiving the Liberty Medal at a dinner at which you attended in Philadelphia. Senator McCain, as we heard earlier, said half-baked, spurious nationalism cooked up by people who would rather find scapegoats than solving problems. Tough language. He was referring to President Trump, I imagine. Senator
John McCain got a standing ovation for his moving speech last night. I recommend it to all of your viewers, in which he spoke about the global institutions that the United States and our vital allies, the United Kingdom and others, built after the wreckage of the Second World War. And he talked about how it has led to security, prosperity and stability for the United States and its people and for our allies, and has promoted our values around the world. He was sharp in denouncing those who suggest that America first is going to make us stronger and safer. And I think his comments, particularly given the challenges we face around the world, were powerful and timely. He didn't mention President Trump by name. Do you assume that's who he was referring to? I think it was pretty clear that he was referring both to the president and others in national politics in the United States who suggest that we serve our interests best by focusing on the United States narrowly and by approaching world issues in a zero-sum game manner, which is the opposite of how we have tried to be as a humble but global leader in partnership with vital allies around the world over the last 70 years. So I think Senator McCain, as the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, as a respected bipartisan leader here in the Senate, was trying to make a real point about the dangers of a narrow nationalism without making it needlessly pointed about our current president.
Senator Coons, related to that issue of America leading is, of course, the decision on Iran and the nuclear deal. Seems to me that the Senate is in a strange position at the moment, really between a rock and a hard place. Either you vote for sanctions and the Iranians walk away. If you don't, the president seems to be intimating that he will pull away from the deal.
Well, we have to remember that President Trump's negotiating style is often to bluster and to threaten an extreme action and then to back off, negotiate, and accept something that's sort of half a loaf. My hope is that the Senate will step forward and show that it's capable of bipartisan leadership, that we will negotiate with our European allies, and that we will find a path forward that reins in Iran's behavior while not destroying this nuclear deal that so far has served its purposes.
Can I talk to you about his rather spurious claims yesterday that his predecessors didn't call the families of fallen soldiers? It doesn't really deserve any more commentary. It's patently untrue.
Right.
But you must be worried that this is damaging to the power and the authority of the office that he controls.
Correct. I think it undermines our credibility globally, and I think it undermines respect for the office of the presidency when just patent falsehoods are spread regularly. I represent the state where at Dover Air Force Base all fallen Americans first returned to our soil, and I was there with President Obama during a number of truly difficult and tragic dignified transfer ceremonies after loss of life of American armed forces overseas. I am confident that our previous presidents have fully upheld their part of what is the sacred duty of every president, to comfort and to contact the immediate family members of those who fall in service to our nation. And I don't think it's advancing our national security or our standing as a nation when the current president disrespects that leadership role of his predecessors. It is another busy day in the Trump administration. Senator Coons, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you, Katie.